Lesson 4.6 is on formalizing relations and functions, and I'm going to introduce you to two new words today, domain and range, and then tomorrow we're going to spend a lot of time looking at what that is. But I just want to show you some main things today here. So first of all, vocabulary. Some of this you already know. You already know what our x values are. You know that those are the inputs. And another word is domain. Alright, so your domain is what you put in. Your domain are your x values. So there's an example of our lovely little function machine. So the domain goes into the equation, but the equation is actually called your function rule. Alright, and then what comes out? Those are your y values, your output, your answer. This is your range. Alright, so all of those words mean the exact same thing. X values input domain, and then y values output and range. Domain is what you put in, your range is what you get. What comes out, it's your answer. Mapping diagrams. So I'm going to show you some examples, but first of all, your domain goes on the left. Alright, those are your x's. X's always goes on the left. Think of alphabetical order, x, then y. And then since range are our y's, range is on the right. And then we're going to draw arrows from the domain to the range to show the ordered pairs. What matches up? If you put in 7 and you get out 3, then you should have an arrow drawn from 7 to 3. So, identifying functions, I'm going to show you what it looks like here. If it is a function, each domain value is mapped to only one range value. We talked about this earlier. To be a function, every input has exactly one output. It can't have 2, it can't have 3, it only has one output. So every domain has only one range. So this is a mapping diagram. So you've got your x's on the left, there's a circle around it, you got your range, your y's on the right, again circle around it, and then you draw an arrow. So the ordered pair would be 3, 10, 2, 8, 1, 6, 0, 4. Now look what happens. -1 goes to 2, and -2 goes to 2. That is okay, because if you look, the left side, right, every input, every domain has exactly one output. Alright, now let me show you the difference. If it's not a function, a domain value is mapped to 2 or more range values. So look at the mapping diagram. Do you see the difference here? Look at the difference between that and then that. Alright? If you look, -1 has one output over here. -2 has one output. But if you look at 4, how many outputs does 4 have? It has 0, 2, and 4. Because it has 3, it is not a function. Every input needs to have one output. So here's the question for you. Is this diagram a function? Would it be yes or no? Now there's also a test you can do to see if a relation is a function. It's a vertical line test. And you can only do this with graphs. If any vertical line, think about it vertical, up and down, if any vertical line passes through more than one point of the graph, right, that means it has more than one range per domain, then the relation is not a function. Alright, so if you have this vertical line and you go through the graph and it hits that vertical line 2 times at the same time, it's not a function. So let me show you an example. Identifying functions. Here you go. This would be a function. Pretend that red line slides to the left, to the right. Alright? that point would only happen on that graph one time. Every single time, it's only once. Now, not a function, same thing. Pretend that yellow line slides to the left and to the right. If you look at where it is right now, right, there's your vertical line, that graph crosses the point at two different values. So therefore, it's not a function. It can only pass the line once. This is how you can look at a graph and tell if it's a function or not. It's called the vertical line test. So next question, which graph is a function? So use the vertical line test. Which graph would be a function? Oh, sorry. Alright, and then finding the range. Couple steps here, and we're going to spend time looking at this tomorrow. First thing you need to do is make a table, and remember your domain is the x values. Alright, so whatever your domain is, that goes on the left. And then using the function rule, evaluate f of x, and remember that's not anything fancy or tricky, it's just y equals, right? It's what you're substituting in for x. Evaluate the function of x for each domain to get the range. Alright, plug in your domain to get out your range. So I'm going to give you one example here, and then we will talk more about it tomorrow. Alright, see you then.